Okay, yesterday we created a simple program to post the file to application server. For that we are using default directory dir home. So today we'll create one more program to create a outbound file. So by selecting some data from the tables and prepare the outbound file interface. Let me find some tables for this. Okay, we have some data for purchase orders. So file interface, if someone asks you to create a file interface, so which object you need to create, where you need to develop that file interface. In which transaction code?
In report program.
Yeah, in report program only. Okay. So report programs, driver programs for forms, file interfaces. So everything we create in SC38 programs only. Okay. Sorry. So if file interfaces, ALV reports, driver program for smart form, custom driver program for smart form, right? For all these objects, we develop in SC38 only. So since we talk about interfaces, that's not a new tool or anything we use. So we have different T transaction codes for other interface types like IDOCs, proxies, right? But for file interface, we develop that in SC38 only. Let's create a program. So let's assume we need to send purchase orders data to some external system, right? So for that we are using a file as interface. We are sending the data in the form of file. So that can be a normal file with tab separated data, or comma separated data. Also we can send. We can create a file in the form of comma separated data. Depends on the scenario. We can use different separators. How the receiver system want to uh, like which format of the data they are expecting. Okay. Okay, so let's design a selection screen. What is the criteria? Selection criteria will define in the selection screen. Let's take vendor or some other input, or create a date. Let's take any input. For now we'll take create a date as input. We'll take this as a select option. So defined one select option. This is to select the data, right? This is to select the data. So we should also provide path, right? In which application server directory we need to save the file, because in AL11 you can find lot of directories. So we need to provide one parameter. Please observe carefully this program. We are going to cover a lot of other options in this program. Type string. Since it is outbound interface, we are sending the we are posting the file to AL11. We need to provide the file path and file name. Okay, what is the name of the file? There is one functionality we use to generate the file names. I'll explain it, but before that let's test the selection screen. Maybe I'll create one text symbol. So let's test the selection screen. So here, do we have any option to select the directory? It is just a normal parameter. So if you want to, so how we selected the presentation server files? How we selected the presentation server files? We have added one F4 help, right, to select the local
Yes, sir.
directories. So here also we can add F4 help
Using
to select the application server directories. Let me add selection text for this.
Sir,
Yes.
what is DDIC reference checkbox?
So it will take DDIC label. Whatever the field label we have, it will take it. For example, for this, we have a label, right? In this, if you go to the data element, this one it will consider. Okay.
Okay.
Initialization. End of selection. Now to add dynamic search help, what is the event we need to use?
On
on value request.
At selection screen, on value
on
request. On value request for the parameter p underscore path. For this, we have a function module. Let me search. I think this one. SAP DMC LSMF4 server file. Call this function module. Enable these two. In place of directory, pass the parameter, or first see what is the type of this directory. Okay, there is no type, so we can pass p underscore path. And leave this file mask. We don't need this. I'll comment this. And the server file, return that server file to, again I'll take the same one, or we can define one local variable for this directory and pass it. Let's just test it. Now we can see F4 help. Let's click on the F4 help. So now it is showing all the application server file directories here. Okay. Since we are posting data to the default directory, you don't need to pass any folder address. Just pass the file name here. Otherwise, in the projects, we need to pass the complete path like this. Till here, it is directory, folders, and this is the folder where you need to post the file, and this is the file name. Okay. Since we are posting it to default directory dir home, you don't need to pass the path, but in projects you have to specify the path here, the exact path where you want to post the file along with the file name. Or you can also generate the file name within the program instead of using a application server parameter. Now here I want to see two options. I want to provide an option for the user or the developer to test it without posting file into application server. So first we just want to test it. What is the data that is selecting? So what are all the records that this file interface is going to send in the form of file? First I need to test it. If anytime if I want to test that, so I don't want to generate the file, but I want to display the data. Okay. For that we can use simulate option. Okay, we can provide an option for simulation. For that reason we can define any radio buttons or checkbox options also we can use to simulate the process. What do you mean by simulation? We'll just display some data, right, without creating the file. Okay, for that I'll use one more selection screen block. So here we'll define radio buttons to select simulate option or to post the file into application server. Radio button group G1. So we have taken two parameters. If we select the first radio button, we don't need to post the file to application server. We just prepare the data and display as output. To check what are all the records, we are going to post it to application server file. If we select this second radio button, then only we need to post the data to application server file. Simulate means we should not post the data. We just should collect the data and display it. Okay. simulate and application server file. If we select simulate option, we should not post the file to application server. Okay. Now the selection screen design is completed. Now what I'll do, I'll keep this selection screen in one include program. I'm modularizing the code underscore top. I'll remove it here. Activate the include program. Now go back. Okay. Now, and we'll write some validation. If there is no application server path provided, we should not proceed further, right? For that, it's selection screen on p underscore path. So what would be the validation? If path is initial, then what type of error? Sorry, what type of message? Error message. Now when should message should trigger? Is it in every scenario? Do we need this validation for every scenario whenever we are executing the program? For example, if I select simulate option, do I need the application server path?
No, sir.
No, that is not
No, sir.
required because we are not posting the file to application server. If I select simulate option, we'll just see the data, whatever we are selecting for the application server file. So I'll add this condition and rb underscore sm is rb underscore ap is or equal to abap true. You can also use not initial abap true. Okay. Now the next functionality is to select the data from the tables. Then what type of data you want to select? Is it full data or delta? Is it full or delta? That one we need to decide. So depends on that, you need to create the selection condition so that you don't need to select same data again and again. If you want to send the only delta records, you should select the records, only records created after previous execution. Okay. For that, you can use last created data of the purchase order or last changed data of the purchase order fields in EKKO. Or what is the other option? What is the other option? How can you find the change log?
CDPOS by seeing
CDHDR and CDPOS tables we can use. Okay. So there we have change log data, right? We can use that CDHDR and CDPOS change log data to find the records which are changed recently after the previous run of the program. Okay. Let me introduce one more new scenario here, new concept here. It's a very important interview question as well. For example, we have two radio buttons, right? Simulate and application server. If I use simulate option, do we need application server path option?
No, sir.
So
No,
if I
sir.
select this, I want to disable this. I want to make it invisible or disable it dynamically. If I select this simulate option, if I select application server, this should be visible. Application server path should be visible. So how can you change the selection screen dynamically? For that we have an event. What is that event? At selection screen output. So in the set selection screen output, you can change the selection screen dynamically. Depends on some radio button selection or checkbox selection, right? If I select this radio button, I want to hide this application server input. If I select application server option, I want to display application server input. Okay. For that, we can use a structure. We have a special structure that is called screen table. We have a structure called screen. In that structure, we have different fields. Okay. So let's see that structure in S11. What is the structure name? Screen. This is the screen structure. This structure we use to display or to hide or to make it invisible of any of the selection screen parameters. Okay. We can completely hide the field or we can disable to accept the input by using the screen fields. Okay. Here you can see name, right? In the name field, you can see parameter name. Whatever the input parameter we have taken, that parameter name will be available here. Okay. So let's see how we can use it, how we can dynamically change the selection screen. So what is the structure we use? Screen, right?
Screen.
First loop the screen structure, loop at screen, end loop. So what it will loop? All the selection screen parameters one by one. Or let me keep a breakpoint here and test. Double click on the screen table. Use this. See, this is a old concept, internal table with header line concept. Both this acts as both work area and internal table. If you want to display it as internal table, use these brackets. SO date. So it is looping selection screen parameters one by one. All the selection screen elements one by one. Here it is path, p underscore path. This one. Now whenever whenever we are looping p underscore path, we can disable it. Okay, when the radio button simulation is selected. When the radio button simulation is selected, observe the parameters. So what is the input here? What is the value populated for input by default? 1, right? 1 means display. If we make it 0, it won't display, or it won't take any input. Okay, let me make it 0. Then F8. What? Sorry, we need to modify the screen table. Just changing is not enough. Observe these values. So this parameter we need to hide, right? Whenever a specific radio button is selected. So for that, we can use invisible option. To display, invisible should be 0 to display the parameter in the selection screen. If you want to hide it, you need to change it to 1. Okay, invisible should be 1, then it will hide the field. Okay, to just disable the input, we need to pass input as 0. Okay, let's see how we can modify the screen table to display only required parameters. If screen hyphen name equal to, what is the parameter name? P underscore path. And if, so when this should be disabled? When we select simulate option, right? Sorry. And RB underscore SM equal to ABAP underscore true, when the simulate option is selected. Now what we need to do? We need to change the values of the screen table. And after this, modify screen table. Modify the screen table with this updated values. Let's test the option. Select it. Activate is not working. Let me try invisible option. Maybe first debug it. If you see this, is there any selection for both? Is there any selection for both radio buttons?
No, sir.
So by default, it is not selecting any radio button. It is not taking any value. For that, we have to do one small thing in selection screen radio buttons, radio button declarations. We have to provide a default value, default ABAP underscore true, or you can also pass X in the single quotes, X, and we have to pass the user command cmd1. We have to pass one user command, so it will take some default value when we are executing the selection screen. Okay, it's not accepting ABAP true. Default is X. Okay, ABAP true, it is not accepting. I've activated the include. Now test it. Now if you see, by default, one radio button is selected automatically. Now loop it. If you see this, the application server is disabled when we select simulate option. Since we made it mandatory, it is checking that, it is doing that validation before going to disable it. Or let me try other option, invisible option. Invisible equal to, I'll pass 1. So it's not disabling because we are using this selection screen validation.
Sir, invisible equal to 1.
Yes. Let me disable this validation for just to test this. Sorry, invisible 0 or what? Let's try. It's not working. Invisible is not working. I think active is working. Active one. I'll use star. Okay, I'll use star because it is not disabling the field label, right? It is only disabling the parameter. I want to disable field label as well. For that reason, I'll use star. Whenever it finds any parameter name starts with or it contains the p underscore path, I will disable that. And I'll use CP. not equal to. CP means containing pattern. What is CP means? Contains pattern. If in any parameter we can find this name, so we should disable it. So instead of equal to, I'm using containing pattern and using star. Test this. Now by default simulation is selected, this is disabled, and if I select application server, this is enabled. Again if I select simulation, that should be disabled. Okay, like that you can enable or disable multiple parameters. For another parameter, use one more if statement. If screen name equal to SO date, then simulation is selected, activate or deactivate the selection screen inputs. Okay, is everyone clear on selection screen output, at selection screen output? Sorry. So let's continue with our actual logic. Is everyone clear on at selection screen output?
Yes, sir.
Now I'll create a class to implement the data selection functionality. Get PO data, save the method, define the parameters. What is the input for this method? So select option, right? We have a select option, that is SO date. So for this select option, we need to define one type structure, or we can use range table option. Public visibility will take and define the type structure. Types begin of. So what are the fields we need to take? Sign,
Low, high,
first sign, option, low. What is type of low? Take the data element of this field. high, and what else we need to define? One table type for this. How to define table types?
Types.
Type standard table of GAT underscore date. Now in the methods, define importing parameter. Importing and associate type should be the table type. And what is the output parameter? What is the output we need to return? The PO data, right? The purchase order data we have to return. So what I'll do, I'll define one type structure for purchase order output data. Define it in the public section, and I'll maintain all the fields, all the required fields in this PO output data structure. I'll take whatever the required fields from each table. And from EKPO, I'll take item level data. EBLP. PO text and material. And you can take plant or storage location, this data also. Quantity, mange and unit. Purchase order quantity and unit of measure. What else we can take? We'll take NETWR. And both the PA and H per, per unit, currency unit. I'm taking only 2 tables. You can try with more tables. So end with comma. Okay. So this is my type structure for output data. and it's internal table like structure, right? For that, define one table type. Type standard table of GAT underscore PO data. Go to methods and define the exporting parameter as well. ET underscore output or something. Export. Provide the exporting parameter name. No, not this. Okay. Here, write any join statement or for all entries. How to write join? You can also use alias name instead of table name. Do you want to directly take the exporting parameter or use a separate internal table? So I'll take direct exporting parameter and select the fields in the same order. So these are all the fields, right? I'll just copy it here. And from EKQ, we have one more field. It is vendor. We have observed one issue when we are creating application server file. What is that issue? We got the runtime error, right?
Yes, sir. Only text fields are selected yesterday.
Yeah, only text fields are allowed in application server file. We'll see how to fix that issue. Since we have decimal fields here, NETWR, MENG, these are all contains decimal numerical fields with decimals.
Sir, yesterday in the code we have used text mode, sir. For example, if we
Okay.
use binary mode,
Yeah. Yeah.
then also it's the same error.
We'll see that. Wait. First, let me create the selection. See, text mode, binary mode, it differs how it is posting the data to the file. Is it character by character or line by line? Okay. So inner join or left outer join? Which one we need to take?
Inner join.
Since data from both tables are mandatory, we'll go with inner join. On which table? EKPO.
EVLN is
Oh,
PYEBO.
into table, or we can directly take the exporting parameter since we have taken in the same order, et underscore output, where what is the condition, ekko aedat in it date. Okay, escape sign is missing. So activate the method. Now go to the program and call the method here. How to create the object?
Data for,
Using new ABAP syntax, we can create the object
uh, is equal to new class name.
sorry. Do we have any constructor for this? No, right? So then we
No,
don't
sir.
need to pass any input parameters here. Then call the method. So pass the select option here, so date. Okay, so we are selecting the data here. Now what is the next step? Post the file to application server, right? First we'll try with this data and we'll see what are the issues, then we'll try for alternative. So for this I'll create one more method to post the data to application server. Instance method with public visibility. For this, what is the input for this method? To post the file to application server, we need path, right? We need application server path and the data. What is the data that you need to post? So iv underscore path importing. I'll take this as string. And what is the other data we need? The output data, right? How can you define this output data? As importing parameter it underscore po data. Importing parameter. What is the type you can take? We have already created the type structure, right? For this output data, use the same type structure, gat underscore t underscore po data. The same data we are returning, right? If you check in the types, so we are returning the same data, and in the next method we are taking same data as input to post the file to application server. Go to parameters, these two parameters we have, and we'll return the status, right? Whether we can whether we posted the file to application server or failed. Go to parameters and use one exporting parameter. We'll take some boolean value or any status. Okay, if you take boolean value, we can return yes or no. Okay, now go to methods and implement the method. Now what is the first step? To create the application server file, what is the first step we need to do? Sorry? We need to create the file, right? First we need to create the file in application server. What is the statement to create the file in application server?
Open, sir. Open data set.
Open data set, and the data set name nothing but path. Here we have IV path as importing parameter, whatever the file path we got. What is the next step? In
In text mode
text mode or binary mode
for output.
for output. To create the file, we need to use for output and encoding default. If sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0, that means if the file is created successfully, if right. So when it would fail, when you provided the incorrect directory address, directory path, folder path, or when you don't have proper authorizations to create the file in that particular directory, it may fail. If it is successful, then we need to transfer the records one by one from the internal table to this file. Okay. For that, loop itpo data
So loop at
end loop. Now, what is the statement we need to use?
transfer
Transfer.
data
Sorry, what is it?
LSPO data to IV path.
Transfer ls po data
To
to
IV
iv
path.
underscore path. And after transferring, clear the work area. So that next time it will populate a new records without taking any junk values from the previous record. Okay. After processing all the records in the loop,
We have to close the data set.
data set in the data set name. Okay. If subrc equal to 0, file is created and post the data. Else, will return the status ev underscore status equal to abap true. That means if it is true means there is a issue. If it is false, no issue. Okay. If it is true means status is true means the application server file did not created successfully. Okay. Or we'll change the parameter for more clarity. I'll change from ev status to ev error. Okay, then it makes more sense. In the method, change the ev error. Okay. It is taking time because I'll cover all the scenarios. Okay, so that we can recap everything. So whatever the words that are displaying in blue color, they are keywords. Okay. Now go to the program, and after this call this method prepare file. Provide the path as input, and for this PO data, what is the input? Whatever the data we are returning here. Output of get data is the input for this one, and error will return the error using one variable. If error is equal to true, then there is some error in the application server file. So when this method should execute, when this prepare file method should execute, when we select application server file radio button, right, then only that method should execute, right? If we select simulate option, do we need this application server functionality, this functionality for simulate option?
No, sir.
No. For that reason, I'll add conditions like this. If rb underscore ap equal to abap underscore true, then execute this. Else if rb underscore what is the other radio button, sm, right, simulate equal to abap underscore true, then display some ALV output. Okay, display the ALV output just to verify the data, whatever the data we are selecting. Usually in simulate option we display ALV output or download the file into local system. So what is the function module we use to download the file into local system? Download the internal table file to local system. GUI download, right? We can use GUI download to download the file, internal table data as file. Instead of creating file in the application server, we can download the file, okay, into our local server. You can use any of these options. I'll use CL demo output for now. LT output. That's it. Okay. Now the program is completed. Now let's test it. Is anything we need to cover?
Sir, the
Yes.
value part, sir, instead of text and
First let's test it. I'll keep a breakpoint here. Rest of the functionality you are already aware. So I'm selecting application server path. Now we need to populate the file name, right? Do we need to enter manually every time?
no, sir.
So usually how we created the files is if I am creating file today, the file name should contain today's date and time, created date and time. Okay, so that we have some better tracking of the file name. That's why I'm populating the file name like this. What is the path? P underscore path equal to PO data outbound, and I'll concatenate this with date and time underscore sy hyphen datum concatenate with what is the system variable for time? sy hyphen uzdit. So I'm generating a file name with current date, current system date, and current system time. Execute. So the file name will be generated like this. Okay, with the date and time, created date and created time. So if I execute it tomorrow, it will create this file with tomorrow's exact date and time. Okay, so that we can check when this file is created. So let me keep a breakpoint here and execute. So application server option, I'm not providing any path. It will by default save in default directory dir home, right? But usually in the projects we have to provide the complete path here. Execute. How many records we got? 189 records. So now, since we selected application server option, we're executing prepare file method. File is opened. File is opened because sub-rc equal to 0, and then we are looping the data. Observe this work area. This have packed decimal fields, right? Let's try to transfer. So it is giving runtime error. So in the statement, transfer to only character type data objects are supported. So it is saving. Okay. In the runtime errors, if you want to find the exact source code where it is causing the error, you can go to source code extract. When you open it in ST22, you can see all the tabs. You can go to source code extract. Okay. So whenever you see the arrow marks, that is the line, that is a piece of code, it is causing the error, right? ST22. Check the runtime errors. Runtime error. This is the error, right? Which one? This is our program name. So this is the error. When you open in ST22, first check error analysis. You can find most of the details here, and you can see how to correct the file, how to correct the error. It will provide basic suggestions to fix this error. So go through all of this. Okay, and go to source code extract to find the exact code where it is giving the errors. Okay, even if you are using any system fields, if you go to system fields, you can check all these system fields. These are the variables, whatever we are using in the program. You can see the data also. Now go to the program. Sorry, do we need to change in the program or method? Let's try, as you said, let's try binary option instead of text. Where is it? Mode, I'll change it to binary mode, and let's try whether it will make any impact or not. It is not taking encoding. If you use binary, file encoding is not accepting if you take binary. Now let's test the program. Did I activate the method? Yeah, method is activated. Now let's reopen the program since we did some changes to the method and execute. Select application server option. It will create new file with a new date and time. File is created. Now transferring the first record to the file F5. So it is successful. So the binary mode is working without taking character type data. F8. So let me check the application server file. Where is dir home? This one. We'll will sort it by last created date. But I can't find any data in it. So it's saying it's not a text file, right? So we are able to view only text files. Binary files are not supporting to display the data. So it's created the binary file, not the text file. So let's try the text mode only. And use encoding as default encoding. Now we have an issue, right? If we use binary mode, so it is generating the binary file, not the text file. So if you use text file, it is not accepting character type data. Then how to fix this? Take one type structure for the file. Same type structure, I'll define one more type structure in the method level. I'll take this as GAT file. And take one table type. Okay. This will change it to some character type. MENG. I'll change it to char 10. I think main should work. No issue with mains. Char 10. Char 20. So depends on the total length, right? Total decimal, including decimals. I'll take this length. Go to method. Now here, first we'll pass that. First we'll define one internal table. Okay. If you take table type, don't use standard table of. Then lt underscore file data equal to it underscore PO data. If PO data is not initial, I'm passing directly like this because I'm using same field names. Okay. In the file data also I've used the same field names. Only thing is I've changed the data type to character. So instead of taking the actual internal table data, I loop file data. Okay. Is everyone clear? Now let's test the program. Okay, this is not possible here because the internal table concerned are not compatible. So we have compatibility issues because we are trying to pass internal table data. This internal table data is a packet decimal values, and this internal table data is character type values. So directly it is not taking. So what is the other alternative we have? Loop at IT pure data into pure data and loop. What we can do here, we'll define one work area as well for this file data. ls underscore file data type gat underscore file. ls underscore file date move corresponding ls po data to ls file data and append since the direct conversion is not working, we are using the loop. Okay, so after appending clear ls file data to clear any junk values, I'm removing this. Since I'm using this lspo data work area here, I'll change the name here. Now test the program. Execute sorry execute the program. So select the application server. It will generate new file name with new date and time, and so we are appending the data one by one to that character type structure. Okay, okay. So now if you take, we have taken these as character type fields, right? So transfer is working. We'll populate one by one. Complete the process. Now check the file. Last changed by descending. So this is the one, I think. Double click. Oh, sorry. So this is the data that is created in the application server. Right? So you can also make it a comma separated file. You can also make it as a comma separated file. How can you make it as a comma separated file? here in the loop, right? What we can do, we can create one internal table with the character type field, maybe character at string, with a string, and concatenate all the fields into that string, right? And populate. Here also you can do that. Here also you can do that like this. Concatenate ls underscore file hyphen ebln ls underscore file hyphen eblp. We can change the order of the fields even. ls underscore file hyphen bookers ls underscore file hyphen listener. Or if you don't want to populate some of the fields into the file, you can skip them here. Okay, hyphen what is it, menge
Networks.
ls underscore file hyphen, I'm taking some random fields, whatever I remember, into define one variable lv underscore record separated by space or comma, whatever the separator you want. Okay, we can also use this pipe separator instead of comma. Okay, so here instead of passing the work area, pass this lv record here in place when you are transferring. Clear that variable. So every time it will concatenate the data into one record by comma separator or pipe separator, whatever the separator you are using, and post the file. Now test it. In the program we missed something. So when this method is executed, it is returning some status, right? We'll display the message, success or failure message. If lv underscore error is not initial or abap underscore true, you can use both validations. Message file type E. Okay, select application server file. Okay, it looks like breakpoint is deleted. Let's check the file. It should be already posted. Go to default directory, last change date 8/32. This should be the one. If you see, the data is created with the pipe separator or any other separator, whatever you want, you can use. Is everyone clear? Here if you observe, there is some spaces, unnecessary spaces, right? Yes or no? There is some space, right? How can we remove the space? For that we have a statement called condense. Here itself you can remove the space, or here also you can remove anywhere. maybe we'll remove the space in the first loop itself. Condense ls. Since we taken the character type data, it is populating some spaces. What is the field name? We are getting spaces. Thing MENG and network. Condense MENG. Network with no gaps. Okay, so it will remove unnecessary spaces, unwanted spaces in the variables. Okay, let's check how it will work. Execute the program again. SC38. Execute and select the application server file. So if you see, there is some unnecessary space here between. Here also there is some unnecessary space. If I execute condense statement, so it removed that unnecessary gaps in the character type data. Okay, so you can use condense statement to remove the gaps. Clear? It will remove. Press F8 and check server file application. Refresh it. One more file is created. Now we don't have any unnecessary spaces, right? Now our file interface is ready. How this interface will be executed? Every day someone is going to execute the program manually. That is not required. We schedule these programs in background as background jobs. Okay, background jobs. For this, a variant is required. What is required to execute the background jobs? Variant. Variant is nothing but this one. Create a variant with selection screen inputs. I'm creating one variant. This variant is for background jobs. So this is the input for this variant. Anyway, this is not the same value it will take. It will take automatically from the program, like whatever the parameter it will generate on that day. Okay. Now, what is the transaction code to create the background jobs? Observe carefully. SM36. SM36 is the program transaction code to create background jobs. Here also there is a shortcut to create a background job. In the execution screen, go to program, execute in background. Select this option, execute in background. So output device, so to print any output we have, I'll give LP01. Continue. What is the frequency of this job? Do we need to execute for one time? Select immediate. Or do you want to schedule the date and time here? I'll schedule the date and time. Start date. Select the time. I'll select 8:40. Is it a periodic job or one-time job? If it is a periodic job, it will execute daily. You can select the periodic values. What is the frequency? Periodic means what is the frequency? Is it hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, or any other custom period? Okay. Let's for now select it as daily job. Check and save. Save it. Check and save the job. Our job is saved. Our job is saved. Where you can check the job? SM37. The transaction code to check the background job is SM37. Here you can enter the job name and the username, and if you don't know who created the job, provide star here, and if you know the keywords, what is the job name? Z demo. There are different status for the job. Schedule means it is just scheduled. Released means it is currently ready for execution, and active means currently executing. It is actively executing. Finished means completed. Cancelled means if there is any error in the job, the jobs will be in a cancelled state. Select the date and time. Now in which state it is? Our background job is in released state. It is not running yet. Okay, it is not running yet. Once the trigger point is reached, right, I think we set some 8:37 am or something. Once the trigger point is reached, it will execute automatically. What is the system server time? See, whenever you are working in the projects, don't consider your local time, local system time. Always consider SAP server time. Okay. Current time is 8:40:06. Go to job details. So it should start at 8:40:38. What is the current time? System time? 8:40:49. The time is already. Let me select other time. Looks like the time is already passed. So it will execute tomorrow. Next frequency is tomorrow. So let's create one more job. What is the transaction code to create a job? To monitor the jobs, SM37 is the transaction code. To create the job, SM36 is the transaction code. Here provide the job name, ZDemo PO outbound job. Start condition. It will display the same screen. Today date. We'll select 8:42. Periodic job. What is the weekly or daily? I'll select for now weekly. Check and save. Check and save here. So the job should be. Now go to step. In step, what you need to schedule? What is the program name and the variant? What is the variant? Select the variant. So why we use this variant? So which input we need to use? Which input we need to use to execute this job? For that reason, we use a variant. Check and save. I have provided the program name and corresponding variant name in the step. Save. Okay. Now the job is created. Now go and check this job in SM37 /o SM37 to monitor the jobs. If you are not sure who created the job, keep star in the username. What is the current system time? 8:43. I'll select 8:45. Check save. Job is saved. Now where we can monitor the jobs? SM37,
Yes.
right? The other job is completed, that is executed and finished. Previously we scheduled one, right, at some 8:40 or something, that is finished. When the time reaches 8:45, this job will also start and finish it. To check the job output, go to job log. It will provide the steps or any messages executed within the job. Okay, if there is any error message, you need to keep remember one thing. If you raise any error messages in the job will be terminated. Okay, if you raise any error messages, job will be terminated. You can see that in cancel state here. Okay, maybe after 1 minute the second job will also start, and daily this job will be executed, and you can see the job execution time here. Whenever you are working on the support projects, right, most of the times you need to check whenever you have an issue with program performance, you need to check job execution time, why it is taking too much time to execute, and you need to debug it. How to debug a background job? We have a special transaction code, JDBG. So this is the transaction code we should use to, sorry, JDBG, not JDG, JDBG. So this is the transaction code. JDBG is there, right? JDBG. Let me check. JDBG should be there. JD. Why it is not there in ECC? Sorry, S4. Select the job and execute JDBG. Yeah. Now it is started. So how to debug the background job? We cannot directly debug the background job because the job will run in background, right? Not in foreground. So to debug the background job, what you need to do? Keep a breakpoint in the program. Keep a breakpoint in the program and go to SM37, select the job and execute JDBG. Okay, just no need to use /n//o, just execute JDBG. Now we can trigger the program in background. Okay, so this is very important interview question. How to debug the background job? Go to SM37, display that job, select that job. Before that, keep the breakpoint in program, in the corresponding program of the background job, and execute JDBG. So it will trigger the breakpoint. So you can debug the background job. Okay, is everyone clear? Here we are just displaying the error. When we are displaying the error, when we are triggering the error, when there is no data or when the application server is not created. Will trigger error if there is no output also. If LT output is initial, then we'll raise some error message. Just to observe how the job will behave if there is a error message. So what will happen if the error message is raised?
The program will stop.
The program will terminate. Now okay, this job will next schedule is at tomorrow, right? So it will execute tomorrow automatically at that specific time. Now we'll create will execute immediately in the background mode. Select application server file, execute in background. You can create in SM36 also. Execute it immediately. Okay, check and save. It will execute the job immediately. Now go to SM37 for monitoring. Or you can use star to check all the jobs that are executing currently. It will give big list. I'll filter by Z star. What is a job that is created? PO data outbound. Since we have data, it is not given any error, right? It is executed successfully. Now let what I'll do now, I'll provide some date criteria here. So purchase orders created today. We may not be able to find any records here. So it is raised, no data error, right? So let's run this program in background in the same with the same output. Application server, execute in background. Immediate, check and save. Background job scheduled, where we can monitor SM37. I'll just refresh. It is in cancelled status. Why is in cancelled status? Error message might be triggered. How to check the root cause of the error? Select the job and go to job log. Here we have a message, no data, right? If there is output, if there is any job output, you can check that in spool. If there is any ALV output for this job, okay, you can check that in spool. So that's it for today. We'll explain more details about the background jobs in the next session.